standing right beside the Major General John Fulton Reynolds statue here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. We just arrived. Lee just showed up. He's sitting here giving me the eye right now because he has an agenda for us. Him and Mark have been working. We have a few other friends, part of the Gettysburg family, that's been working on an agenda for us to make sure we get as much information, as much recording as we can. It is, what time is it, Lee?
Almost noon.
Almost noon? He's not allowed to take any more naps when we drive anywhere. He slept like a baby in that car. Sadly enough, I'm hurting like an old man. But all right, guys, we're going to get hopping. I hope you enjoy this video series on the history of Gettysburg, and I hope you enjoy the series on the haunted history of Gettysburg. They still march among us. Something tells me this is going to be an experience of a lifetime. Stay tuned.
So we're standing in the famous railroad cut. If you look, these tracks were not here during the time of the battle. Joseph Davis's Mississippians, he was related to Jefferson Davis. That was his nephew. They were heading southbound. Up there a little bit, you'll see the 6th Wisconsin. What they were going to do is they were going to be right by that fence wall, the snake rail fence, and they would be shooting right where the Confederates were coming. And so, as they marched over, 6th Wisconsin was charging in a backwards V type shape, along with the 44th New York or 14th Brooklyn, which that was the only regiment named after a city as well. What they were doing, Rufus Dawes, their colonel, 6th Wisconsin, kept on telling his men to dress on the colors, align on the colors. They weren't doing it. They were ready for blood. They were ready for action. They were pretty much in reserve, as the rest of the Iron Brigade was in Herbst Woods on the other side of this hill. So when they saw the Confederates move in this area, they pretty much attacked in all force. And when they saw that the Confederates are actually down here, several 6th Wisconsin, along with the other regiments, came down here and just did a melee, just beating the crap out of each other, shooting each other point blank, using swords, bayonets. There was one soldier by the name of Francis Waller from 6th Wisconsin. He survived this area, and what he wrote was he saw a Confederate flag bearer charging his way. Another guy came in, used his butt of his rifle, and just pretty much decimated him. And at that they took the Confederate flag. So as Rufus Dawes came up to the ridge here, he saw the rest of the Confederates pretty much shouted at them to lay down your weapons and surrender. And thus be told, captured quite a few Mississippians. North Carolinians were the ones that got away pretty much almost scot-free because they were right on the other side of the flank, knew what was coming. They pretty much hightailed it all the way on the other side of the ridge, where now the Peace Light Memorial is going to be at.
Just mention to me, too, when we got here.
Yes.
About this piece of ground right here.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Back in 1996-97, some tourists was walking down the railroad cut. Notice in this vicinity here, bones sticking out, from a soldier that was fought here. Documentation stated that he was a Iron Brigade soldier. So my unit, 24 Michigan, along with several other guys from the Iron Brigade, as well as some of the Confederates. Back in 97, 98, we had the distinct honor of doing a soldier's burial with this soldier in the Soldiers National Cemetery, and he's still buried there at this time. Later, I'll show you where he's actually buried.
Okay, here we are at the position of the 88th Pennsylvania, here on Oak Ridge, and the fighting here will take place early morning of July 1st. The goal is for the Union Army to extend their line to Oak Hill, but what's going to happen is, on Oak Hill are Confederates from Rhodes' division, and they will make a sweeping attack across the Mummersburg Road and hit the position here. Iverson's men will go into battle without any skirmishers, and what's going to happen is they're going to get absolutely decimated. The little marker out in front of us is part of the 88th Pennsylvania. The area known as Iverson's Pits, and that's where they capture several flags from Iverson's brigade.
Now, Oak Hill, that is over there where what's it called, the Eternal Light?
It's the Eternal Light of Peace. I think that's how everyone just calls it the Peace Light. But it was dedicated in 1938 by President Roosevelt during the last reunion of the Civil War troops, the 75th anniversary of the battle.
Fascinating.
One of the brigade commanders out here, and he will suffer a very horrific wound. It'll go pretty much from side to side across his head, and he will lose his sight. And in some of the after-action accounts, he is actually listed as being killed because no one thought that he would survive this wound. But he survives, gets a desk job for the remainder of the war, and will have several children after the war. So here we are at the 90th Pennsylvania, one of my favorite monuments on the field, and it's so simple. It's just the form of a tree that its limbs have been shot off. It's got the accoutrements of war hanging off the one limb. And then on the top, to kind of have a spirit of reconciliation, you have a bird tending to its young in the nest. 90th Pennsylvania. Very interesting monument. So, here we are at the end of the line. The original line will be facing to the west. There's going to be a disjointed attack from across the road here. It's going to be defeated relatively easily. But as the day progresses, there's going to be several attacks here in the field. These are where Iverson's men will come through. But then, the 11th Corps will start to arrive. And their goal is to join up with the 1st Corps here. But Oak Ridge and Oak Hill is now occupied by the Confederates. So there is a lengthy gap between both of these elements. What's going to happen is pressure will start to commence. We're not sure whether it's the 1st Corps or the 11th Corps that falls back first. But what's going to happen over here, where this little marker is, the 16th Maine will be given orders to hold this position at all hazards. Think about that. It is one regiment, and there are thousands of Confederates bearing down on this position. Their goal is to buy time for the rest of the guys to get to town. They will have less than 100 men by tomorrow on July 2nd, 1863.
Hey guys, we took a break from the battlefield. We are here at Hunt's Cafe, right here in downtown Gettysburg, home of the battlefield's rise. Mark just ordered these things. They come in a large popcorn bucket full of fries. Me personally, onion rings and mushroom and Swiss roll. It's supposed to be the best in town. Need to check this place out when you show up. Okay, Lee and I just got here to the Jenny Wade house. Now, those of you that know the story of Jenny Wade, she was the only civilian to die during the Battle of Gettysburg. When a bullet went through that door while she was baking, it hit her and killed her.
This is where her sister Georgia lived, and her husband John McClellan, and another family. Believe it or not, in 1863, this small house was a duplex. 2 families lived here. Each had 4 rooms apiece, so you will go through both homes. This is, however, where Jenny was shot and killed. And Jenny was here. His sister had just had a baby, just a couple days before the battle. And Jenny came down to help her sister out, to stay with her sister. Sadly, unfortunately, she ended up being shot and killed during the battle. Now, to give you an idea of what Gettysburg was like back then, the town was way down there. This area here, for about a block and a half, was open field. Confederates were shooting in this direction. Union were shooting in this direction. And as a result, if you look at the house, if you look at the bricks, if you look at the foundation, you'll see bullets, scraping, scratches all from the Battle of Gettysburg. Now, the house itself was built in 1842, 21 years before the battle. So it is the original house. And between 100 and 150 bullets hit the foundation of this house. But of course, the most important, the most notable, is the bullet that hit Jenny Wade. That came, or they believe it came, from just down the hill, or just up the hill a ways, at a place called Farnsworth House. And yes, it was a Confederate sharpshooter. No, it wasn't deliberately shooting Jenny Wade. He didn't even know she was here. His aim, as was all the Confederates, were to shoot towards the Union Army. And in shooting in that direction, and with the house already here, that is why the house sustained so many bullets. But his bullet pointed at the door. Now, when you go in this door, or in this room, we'll be in George's kitchen. In George's kitchen, there's another door. Jenny was behind the second door, bent over the dough tray, making bread biscuits for the Union soldiers and her family. When the bullet entered the first door, went through the second door, struck shoulder that aimed her back, went into her heart, and she was instantly killed. So when you go through the house, you will go through the 2 rooms down here, go up the stairs, there's 4 rooms upstairs. Then you go down the stairs on the other side, you'll be in the other family's home. They too have 2 rooms on the first floor. Then, when you're done with all reading, please make sure you do go into the McLean and other families' parlor. There's a glass curio, there's artifacts there, you'll definitely want to see those. After you get done with all the rooms, you will exit their kitchen door, which is the door closest to the party. Then, take a sharp left. Go down to the cellar. That is where the soldiers got the family through the house, they got her body through the house, they took her down to the cellar to stay until the battle was over. Now, Jenny was shot and killed the last day of the battle of Gettysburg, July 3rd, 8:30 in the morning. By the time the soldiers were able to get the family to the house, it took a few hours. It was afternoon. They stayed the afternoon down there. They spent the night down there. Next day is July 4th. The battle is now over. They're able to come up to the cellar. The number one thing on their mind was get that body buried. Jenny had been dead for a day, so they had to quickly, temporarily bury Jenny. So for her first burial, Jenny was buried in George's garden. George's garden, back then, was the gift shop, just now in. Remember I said, open area. Garden was back there. Outhouse was back there. That's what it looked like in 1863. Her body was there 6 months. They dug her body up, took her a couple streets down to High Street. And on High Street, there's a place called the German Reformed Church, still there. And behind the church, in the churchyard, Jenny was buried a second time. Now, the family had attended church there. Jenny had been baptized there. It was an appropriate place to put her. But it's not where the family wanted her final resting place. Now, you have to understand at this time, Gettysburg's a mess. This place is a mess. They want her to have a proper burial in the town cemetery in the family plot. And so, 2 years later, for the third and final time, her body was dug up and taken where she is today, kitty corner across the street, at the famous Evergreen Cemetery. I know pretty much you've all been there. Have you been there? You haven't been there? Okay. Make sure you go. There's 2 cemeteries. First, Soldiers National Cemetery, Evergreen Cemetery, the town cemetery. It's just beyond that. Her monument is huge. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But it's not a monument. It's a monument. It's what's standing beside it that holds the highest significance in the United States. That is our American flag. But it's not our typical American flag. It's what they call a perpetual flag, and the difference is Jenny's flag flies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It doesn't go up and down like your typical American flag. Jenny's flag flies constantly. And there's only 2 women in all the U.S. that have the privilege, maybe I should say, privilege of having a perpetual flag. Jenny Wade is one. Who do you think that second woman would be? I'm asking you. If you were to guess, let me give you a hint. What other woman in history would be deserving of having a special flag?
No, I don't know what the name.
Yeah, she can do it. She's doing good, Betsy. That's good enough. Betsy Ross. And you're right, Betsy Ross. And Betsy's is similar to that. Setup is the same. Flag, monument beside it. Now, Betsy's is in Philadelphia. You have to go to Philadelphia to see hers. But you're right across the street. You're seeing the only other woman in all of the United States that has a professional.
So this is actually their parlor, their living room, I mean, you only have your kitchen and you got your baby crib and all this. No. Truly, look good. It's just really not to me.
I'm pretty sure it was done, you know. Oh.
it used to be an auto, and they would tell you, like, they just literally wrapped her up in the blankets and had her, that's where she would lay with the cans, and everybody just sat there. And,
Okay, so right now we are standing inside the Evergreen Cemetery, which was the town cemetery for Gettysburg, and directly behind the camera is what is now the Gettysburg National Cemetery. And the spot that we're standing in is, give or take, where Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address. It isn't marked. We're kind of standing in the middle of some graves here, but most of the graves around here are after 1863. So that's how we kind of can figure out where the platform would have been where Lincoln gave the famous Gettysburg Address. We are along the 11th Corps line. We got the 45th New York behind us. Now what's going to happen is the 11th Corps will move up through the town of Gettysburg and push out onto the fields here north of town. Their objective is to try and hook up with the right flank of the 1st Corps, but because of the Confederates occupying Oak Hill in the distance, there will not be a connection made. Along here, under the two divisions, Schimmelfitting and then Barlow's men will form off to the right. This is not a good position, and the 11th Corps will suffer tremendous casualties by once again being put in a bad spot.
Standing here on Little Round Top, and if you want to overlook this area, down there is going to be the Slaughter Pen, Devil's Den, Hawks Ridge. If you want to go stream all on the other side, where those tree lines are going to be at is going to be the peach orchard and the Pennsylvania Monument. So, back here on July 2nd, 1863, Union defenses was pretty much going around this whole area, trying to get everything positioned. There's a statue right there. What you're looking at is the engineer of the Union Army, General Gouverneur K. Warren. Now, when he was talking to General Meade earlier, he saw this area through his binoculars. So what he did was he climbed up here with some of his signal corps, and he saw that this is a good area, and it wasn't defended at this time. Earlier in July 2nd, General Warren was talking to me, and as he was scouting through this area, he saw Little Round Top not defended. So he came up here along with a few signal corps, surveyed this area, and saw that this is pretty good ground that we need to do something to get some men up here. Because this hill commanded the town, commanded most of the field. And he knew that if there was Union soldiers here, it can be heavily defended. But he was more worried that the Confederates were in that vicinity of the tree line, Forefield Ridge. So he knew something was coming. So he had to get soldiers up here quickly. So what he did was, as he was trying to find soldiers to get up here, there was a brigade from Colonel Vincent. Saw what was going on, and he hightailed his command, his brigade up here to defend Little Round Top. It started right over there, 16th Michigan, 44th New York, 83rd Pennsylvania, and 20th Maine is going to be on the left flank of the Union Army side. So they were going to be in the extreme left of the Army. So during the time of the battle, Holtz's men, of the Alabamians, marched all the way up from Big Round Top, went down and charged Colonel Chamberlain's 20th Maine several times. During that time, we can go over to 20th Maine. I'll tell you more about that over there as well. So we're standing here at the extreme left of the Union Army. Who got the honor of being the last regiment to get that? 20th Maine. 20th Maine was commanded by Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. Now, Chamberlain was not a typical average officer. He was a professor over at Bowdoin College, Maine. He took up the call when everyone else was, early 1862. Colonel Chamberlain did not see too much action. His first actual battle was at Fredericksburg. His 20th Maine did not see battle of Chancellorsville because they were quarantined because they had an outbreak of smallpox. So after the quarantine, his regiment, along with the 5th Corps, marched up to Gettysburg. And lo and behold, they had the honor of being at the extreme left. They defended this part of the slope of Little Round Top. As you can see, all around us is good-sized rocks. The area that 20th Maine was defending, as you can see, a lot of outcropping of large rocks, boulders, and they had more decent-sized trees. The only thing that was not here are these stone walls. Everyone thinks that soldiers was on the other side of these stone walls. No, stone walls came out just late into July 2nd, early morning July 3rd, from other regiments that came up. They saw what was happening, and so they decided to put the stone walls up here for more cover. 20th Maine didn't have much time to get defenses ready. They had about 5 minutes to spare before the 15th Alabama came marching up from big rounds up all the way down here to try to repulse 20th Maine. 15th Alabama, commanded by William C. Oates. Took several charges up and tried to flank 20th Maine. They went back down, reformed, hit him again, reformed him again, probably around 3 or 4 times. During that time, Chamberlain knew that he was running out of ammo, and he needed to do something because he just could not abandon this part of the field. And if they did, Confederates will march up and take control of the high ground. So he devised a bayonet charge. And so he told all his men to fix bayonets. And what he wanted to do is do a maneuver that was like swinging a door. Like when you open a door, it swings down. He was going to take his right flank and swing down like a door to try to repulse the Confederates. Now, this next part is one of Gettysburg's most controversial parts. Did the swinging a door part of the charge happen, or did they just decide to just go down? Some said that they did the swinging of the door maneuver, and others stated that when they heard the charge, they just ran down like hell and captured quite a few of 15th Alabama. So there's several books that says one thing or another. Now, as they were getting ready, he sent Company B out down like 20, 30 yards down. Along with the Company B was several sharpshooters from my company, Company B, and several others from different companies as well. And as they were charging the Confederates, Company B was right behind a stone wall, and they started firing down on the 15th Alabama as they were charging. So Joshua Chamberlain became the hero that saved Little Round Top, and also got the Medal of Honor for his valor of what he did here. They would try to stain them. They would try to do the best to take the writings off. So you can still see some of the markings if you have a good eye for it.
If you look right next to my shadow to the left, you'll see that black spot. I don't know how well you can see it on film. That's a cave going back in here. We're going to slide this back in here for a second. See if we can hear anything. these beautiful Jurassic era stones are not just limited to Devil's Den. They're strewn all across this area. Suddenly I'm kind of overcome. Stand up here at the base of Little Round Top here at Devil's Den and seeing all this stuff for the very first time. I can finally put myself in those shoes of those soldiers who were seeing this for the very first time and seeing the defensive abilities of these 60-million-year-old rocks that are sitting here all over Devil's Den. 51,000 plus people, yo. Seems unimaginable. That's almost 10 times the population of my town. I don't know. What do you do?
Where I'm standing here on part of the battlefield is what is called the triangular field. So if you see this area, because you see the apex first in a triangle and it strolls out to what it looks like a triangle. There's always you have the Bermuda Triangle, you have the Michigan Triangle. Gettysburg has their own version of their version as well. They say that if anyone comes in this area with electronic devices, it's going to malfunction. A lot of people have had phones that were charged 100%, walk in here, and then it will just die. You'll hear all kinds of frequencies from different areas as well. So, is it part of paranormal? It's another controversial part. Some say it is, some say it doesn't exist, or make-believe, or it's pretty much up to you, I guess. So if you think it is paranormal or whatever, it's pretty much it's up to you on that one. So you be your own judge if you want to or not. So.
Well, Mark was actually just explaining to me that this was all during the turn of the century. They tried commercializing on the Battle of Gettysburg. At one point in time, this was the Round Top Restaurant, Round Top Hotel, things like that. This old place here is just used as a ranger house now.
One of the stories of this monument is that when it was made, out of nowhere this footprint or this boot print came. People say that the soldier himself, get up, or the one that this soldier represents, came up here and put his foot into the rock. It's not carved, it's just was there. It's just there. That's all I can say about it. It's not even deep enough to be carved. I mean,
Here we're standing inside the Rolls Woods. July 2nd, this was some of the fiercest fighting during the second day of the battle. On the other side of the woods, you're going to have the wheat field. Right behind where Drew is at is going to be Devil's Den. Where we're standing is, as I said earlier about the trolley. There is pretty much where this is the trolley path. It came through wheat field, came through this path, and goes right on the other side of the triangular field that's going to overlook Devil's Den. The only thing remnants left of the trolley is the bridge here, which you can see that's pointed out. That's how far the trolley path came out. Because I'll send you most pictures of what the trolley looked like. There were 6 of them. So later down the road, after the trolley got dismantled, they kept the path because it's a good walking path in between parts of the battle, and they put this little bridge here so you can walk over. But yeah, he's had some of the fiercest fighting. Anderson's Georgians came in here. Plumby, Indiana has some of the major fighting done in this area. Once we get on the other side, I'll tell you all about what happened in the wheat field, which that was probably the most chaotic part of the whole 3 days.
Now, there's something that is about 3,500 miles away from home right there. If you guys look. That's a Scottish thistle. They grow in the Highlands of Scotland. No place else in the world. Supposedly.
On this part of the battlefield, we're standing in the most ever famous wheat field. Wheat field took place in the afternoon, early evening in George Rose's 26-acre wheat field. It involved more than 13 Union brigades from 3 different corps. The soldiers from 8 different brigades in the Confederate side from 2 different divisions. All in all, approximately 8,000 Confederates, 10,000 troops, all within 26 acres of this wheat field. Within the wheat field, went back and forth. Now, question is, who was in command, north and south, or who was guiding and directing the actions here in the wheat field? Answer was, there really was no one. It became a small unit action. It was mostly regiment by regiment, brigade by brigade. Pretty much sums it up, chaos, confusion. No one knew where to go or who was in command, because you had 3rd Corps going all over this whole area, then 2nd Corps up by the Stoney Hill area. You got 5th Corps heading up right over there, and also elements of the 2nd U.S. Regulars heading up on the other side, colliding with Confederates that were heading right over here, right where the Rose Woods is at. So, in all, like I said, confusion. This sector of the wheat field was commanded by a French person by the name of de Trobriand. He had 3rd Corps Brigade. His regiments were rather staggered originally. They were positioned on top of Stoney Hill, as which you can see right over here.